Hi, good morning. This is the Bitcoin Morning Brief. We have Jimmy on today looking like a real cowboy, and we have Tone prior to all his travels coming up. First of all, Jimmy, how's it going? Where are you?
Well, I am in Bryce Canyon, Utah. So I am traveling and hanging out. I finished the seminar on Friday. Took the family and we're traveling and doing a lot of national parks and stuff. Little better than maybe Disneyland and stuff that I've done in the past. So hopefully, get the kids to enjoy nature. So that's where I am right now.
Nice. Tone, how goes it?
Also very exciting right here in my apartment. I'm actually enjoying it because I'm not going to be here much the rest of the year. Jimmy, Bryce is really cool. I was there a long time ago. Are you going to hit Zion as well, or have you been to Zion yet?
I know it's about an hour and a half away. It's still up for debate. We'll check out Bryce today. I have a bunch of different places that I definitely have to take photos of. But yeah, I mean Zion.
Try to go to Zion. I think Zion is the most gorgeous place in America.
Yeah, so
Zion's amazing.
Yeah, so we'll probably try Zion either tomorrow or Wednesday if we do that. But we might also want to hang out in Bryce a little longer too. So, but yeah, I want to head back to Austin. By early August. I think I haven't been in Texas since June, so I kind of miss it a little bit.
Nice. Well, definitely take pictures, and at least one of our stories is about Texas. So at least that'll be a little bit of a conversation homecoming. This first one, Jimmy, is, I thought you guys would, love because it's so great. So have you read the Bitcoin white paper 50/50? Yes and no. Tone, you sent this one to me and retweeted. Yeah, straight into it. Were you surprised?
Well, I don't know. Like, I didn't have. I'm actually not surprised. This kind of makes sense. People don't read these things, and if people didn't read the Bitcoin white paper, they aren't reading any other white paper of all of the stuff they are investing in, all of these ICOs and stuff. But yeah, people don't really read, and once again. The proper way, I think, Jimmy, do you mind muting for a second? I'm curious if that's the wind.
Yeah.
Through your mic. There we go. I mean, the best way to answer this question is to give people a third option that says, like, I don't hold Bitcoin, right? Because you really want this thing to be for the people in the crypto space. So maybe a better way to ask the question is to separate people that don't have any Bitcoin from it. But then again, people could have read the Bitcoin white paper and not invested in Bitcoin. So there needs to be some kind of option there, but this kind of makes sense.
Jimmy, there actually was almost 9,700 votes on this, and he is within the crypto space, which is interesting. And with these results still, what did you think?
I was actually kind of surprised at how high it was. I think a lot of people are saying that they read the white paper if they would read the title or something like that. I mean, it's like 8 pages of kind of technical stuff. It's very readable, but if you haven't studied computer science, a lot of it is gonna sound like gibberish. So I'm kind of surprised that this many people are saying that they did. Who knows if they're really they've actually read through the entire thing and stuff like that. I don't know. It's something that I think people should learn, but I know how much people like to depend on other people for a lot of this stuff. So I don't think it's sadly I don't think that many people know about the actual underpinnings of Bitcoin and what it was meant to be.
That is sad. Tone, did you have one last comment on this?
Yeah, just a quick comment. Like, when I saw that tweet, it only had about 2,000 votes, and it was 49-51. And at one point, I saw it 49-51 in the opposite direction, and now it has almost 10,000 votes, and it's still 50-50. So that kind of shows that with 2,000 votes, the results were identical to what it is now at 10,000 votes. Shows you that you don't need a lot of votes in order to get the majority outcome.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed this about polls. I've done a lot of polls on Twitter. Almost always within about a couple hundred votes, you get the results that you're going to get at the end, unless there's some like shilling or brigading or something like that.
Well, on to Pantera. So 10,000%. Pantera reports massive 5-year crypto investment return. Tone, is this true? What did you think?
I'm pretty sure it's true. I mean, when I got into the crypto space around the same time that Pantera was talking about it, very, very big on Bitcoin. I remember some of my first conferences I went to in 2014. Dan was there at those conferences talking about it. Pantera did well. They got in on the ground floor. They got in early 2013 as with some major investments. They've been a VC for a little while. They've put out pretty good newsletters, pretty good research, but let's see what happens. I mean, they hired Joey Krug, who was the Augur guy. Hey, Jimmy, you mind muting one more time? It's really windy over there, isn't it? Yeah. But did they hire Joey Krug, who was the ICO, the first ICO on top of Ethereum, which was Augur. I was very critical of that ICO, like I was of the Ethereum ICO itself. They were both the same to me. Never been a big fan of Augur. He's over there now. And this kind of goes to show you, right? Like a lot of these guys, this is where I started to lose a little bit of like, well, I never really had respect for Augur, but hey, if you're the main guy in your project like Augur, you left for another company before your project even launched, before your company even launched. And again, this is like with all ICOs. I mean, if you're going to fund the company, you might, well, if you're going to co-found the company, why aren't you sticking around? So, I mean, that's not Pantera's fault. I'm kind of picking on Augur here, but we'll see. You know what? Going forward, it doesn't matter what you've done. It's about, are you able to sustain it? And are they now investing in a bunch of ICOs, or are they properly investing in Bitcoin? Because the easy money in Bitcoin has probably been made, like the 10,000% stuff that's been made. It was risky, but it certainly paid off. Going forward is going to be a little bit harder. Are they going to do as well investing in ICOs and startups, or no? Are they going to do as well investing in Bitcoin? Are they going to buy a bunch at the top and deal with short-term losses? On a 5-year basis, anyone investing in Bitcoin that held on to it did amazingly well. But last time we did the show, we talked about Novogratz, who didn't do so well, right? Because he bought a bunch at the top. So we'll see what happens going forward.
Interesting. I do find this story interesting, given that sometimes mainstream opinion is that smart money didn't enter early, but it does look like in this story, smart money, institutional capital entered early as an early evangelist. Jimmy, what did you think about this piece?
Well, I mean, they got in on the ground floor on a new tech, so they're gonna look really, really good, especially because it was, it was 5 years ago. And I tell people this all the time: if you're gonna hold on to Bitcoin for 5 years, you are going to do fantastic. I mean, that's a long enough time frame where a lot of the ups and downs will sort of even out, and this is certainly true of Pantera. Now, Pantera invested in some startups and things like that. They were going around to every conference looking for companies to invest in and things like that back in 2013. I would say that the best return that they probably got was Bitcoin itself. So, I mean, a lot of VCs, I think, feel like they have to be like Pantera and get the 10,000% returns, investing in companies. I actually think that's fighting the last war. There are obviously going to be a lot of companies that are going to try to duplicate what they did, but the vast majority of the value, I think, will still come from Bitcoin itself. So if instead of investing, $100 million into companies who have like insane Series A valuations, I mean, I'm talking about the Coinbases of the world and the Bitmains and Those tend to be like the hot names in VC right now because, you know, there's a possibility that those companies can go public or something. I would say that instead, if they put their money in Bitcoin, you still have a really good chance at some really outsized returns instead of doing that. And the thing about the VC game that's really tough is that you have to beat Bitcoin. If you're in this space, Bitcoin is the benchmark. And if against Bitcoin, even against Bitcoin, despite how well Pantera did, they actually didn't do that well. I mean, you take away the 20% fees and the 2% management fee and everything else, you invest all the LPs of Pantera, I mean, got a pretty good return, but they could have just as easily bought Bitcoin. They probably would have done better. So, you know, it's one of those things. You want investment, but you know, the current situation, I think, is unsustainable. We'll have to see where it goes.
Thanks, Jimmy. One last question for you, Tone. Given also that Pantera, they're talking about their funds, but for the most part, my understanding is, at least having followed them as a hedge fund, they're permables. He's, at least to me, what they're writing, what specifically Dan's writing in this Medium post is just kind of a hodling perspective. Do you think that they are actively trading? Are they, you know, what do you think their strategy has been?
They might be actively trading, but they're actively trading probably with a very small portion of their portfolio. They are permables, as they should be. They have a really long time horizon. My recommendation for Pantera is that if they are actually trading Bitcoin, they should do it with no more than 10% of their Bitcoin holdings, just to see if they can find a trader that, you know, over the next 5 years can prove that, hey, we beat Bitcoin's buy and hold returns over the last 5 years by trading Bitcoin. If they can do that, they can get a lot of investment.
Yeah, interesting. Right, moving on. And just a note to your guys' point, especially yours, Jimmy, on their website now, their like slogan or tag is that they specifically say that they're an investment firm now exclusively on ventures, tokens, and projects related to tech, digital currencies, and also crypto assets. So this is talking specifically about Bitcoin, but I don't see that as the specific line that they're touting themselves as. So at least from my perspective, I guess we'll see, but definitely interesting. All right, foreign exchange settlement provider CLS begins final testing for blockchain payment banking service. Jimmy, what do you think? There's all the big names are mentioned here regarding including Ripple, et cetera, but this is going to be through CLS.
Yeah, Leah, you should probably go just read the last 2 little paragraphs where they tried other stuff.
Yeah, and then specifically they're going to be all right. Yes, with Swift.
Right, just pretty much the last 2 paragraphs. Yeah.
Yep. That's very good. So Swift, with 45 years of experience in providing financial institutions with transaction information, has recently reported that its blockchain pilot for bank-to-bank transfers went extremely well, having first announced the Hyperledger-based project for a cross-border payments market back in 2017. Earlier in June, Ripple chief cryptography David Schultz claimed that banks are unlikely to deploy blockchain to process international payments, citing low scalability and privacy problems. Moving it over to you, Jimmy.
I mean, again, this is proof of press release. That's proof of news, I think, is what Giacomo termed it. You know, these projects have to put out press releases, make it sound like they're on the cusp of something interesting as a way to justify their jobs at these innovation labs, right? Like it doesn't mean anything, and I won't believe any of this stuff until it's actually deployed and being used. They say they're close, but that's really from a political standpoint, a way to get their bosses to actually sign off on doing stuff like this. You got to understand, you know, foreign exchange and bank settlement and all this stuff. The people that actually are in charge are extremely conservative. They don't want to change anything. If it's working, then you know, IT infrastructure upgrades are just giant pains for all of them. And this is one of the few ways at a bank that you could really lose your job is by screwing up an IT infrastructure upgrade. So Yeah, to me, this is exactly the same as a lot of these blockchain projects. Nobody's really doing anything, and I mean, these are big companies, right? Like they don't move very fast, and despite saying that we're a startup within a big company, I've never seen a single one that's successful in being a startup in a big company. They're just very, very different things. So yeah, my opinion on this is like with a lot of blockchain projects, show me something that's actually being utilized by somebody that's actually paying money, and not some proof of concept or some press release or some slick demo. None of that means anything because they're not actually being utilized, and you're not in the crucible of the actual market. You are in a filter bubble that has absolutely no pressure whatsoever. And yeah, I mean, this is how these projects go.
And just as one quick follow-up, interesting. So the CLS spokesperson clarified, I'm reading it here, that clients would still rely on the Swift provider in the first stages, while direct node hosting will be offered as, quote, the service continues to grow with functionality and client adoption and the DLT matures. Is this even a possible rollout strategy? Do you want to comment on this?
It's possible, I guess. I mean, anything is possible with enough engineering. It's just that this is, again, speculative press releases that don't mean anything. And the nice thing about press releases is that you don't have to give any proof. You don't have to tell anyone about the actual implementation details. You can just claim you have it without actually having it. There are companies that do this for a living, right? Like they claim that they have certain things, and when they actually don't, as a way to ward off competitors and so on. This is a common thing. It's not anything new. It's something that people do all the time. So I would say this is this is like trusting a press release from some political party. I mean, it's all done as a matter of spin. It's not done as a matter of fact. I mean, like if these had to be accurate, I think a lot of companies would be sued for a lot of things. So yeah, I would just ignore anything that they say like this.
Right. Proof of news, and it's still in the planning stages. Tone, thoughts? Follow up to Jimmy?
Well, same thing pretty much on I agree with everything Jimmy said. And the only thing I care about is are they going to use a token? That's the only thing that matters to me, right? Like, are they going to use a token or not? Because if they are going to use a token, they're going to be the laughing stock of the entire industry. And if they're not going to use a token, then we're going to question if they're actually using a blockchain. So if they go with Hyperledger, if they go with another IBM product, if they go with R3, they're not using a token. So they're not actually going to be using a blockchain. They're just going to upgrade their database technology. And if they do end up using a token, that would be absolutely hilarious. Now, what I really liked, if you can go back there for 1 second,
Absolutely.
that last statement from David Schwartz. So I had a big run-in with David Schwartz, like on Twitter and stuff. He's like the chief cryptography expert of Ripple. And I keep telling him that the Ripple token is a scam. And if he continues to promote Ripple, he's pretty much a scammer. And here he is saying how they're unlikely to use blockchain technology. So what the hell are you doing? Why are you speaking at all these events? Your job at Ripple is to bullshit your way to the main stage and talk about how all of these banks need blockchain technology and how they need to use this scammy Ripple token. And this article says how he is saying that they don't actually need it. So what the hell are you doing? Why did I waste time arguing with you? And the rest of the community is arguing with you that you are just like a sleaze pretending to, like sell this bullshit to other companies as some kind of a cryptography programming genius. Like that last sentence really bothers me. Jimmy, your thoughts on that?
David Schwartz is David Schwartz. I don't like. everyone knows Ripple's like just a centralized thing. They like to claim X, Y, and Z, and they got like a troll army on Twitter. That's kind of what they do. So they have their own solution that they want to promote, and obviously David Schwartz is gonna crap on anything else. I think it's just I don't know, crappy things fighting each other. I don't really care.
Yeah, when I was sorry, well, one last quick story. When I was in, where the hell was I? think I was in Ireland, and like there was some kind of a private event. There was maybe like 50, 60 people in the audience, all like knowing nothing about crypto. And the two speakers in front of the room, they had like a fireside chat, were David Schwartz and the CEO of Circle. And I was like, yeah, I couldn't be more frustrated. Like one guy wants, Bitcoin to be fully controlled by the financial industry and the Federal Reserve, and the other guy believes in the fairy tale that Ripple is the best token in the world. Like this is, I felt sad for the audience walking away with the complete opposite knowledge of what a blockchain is, listening to those two.
Yeah, this is why we need our own conference, Tone. We got to do it.
I like it. All right, we do have a Texan in the house, but I'm going to let you pretend today, Tone. So this story is saying that a new company can use mining rigs and actually have them going in Texas. So it's not location dependent and needing to be in nice, cool Iceland. And specifically, they've tested this patent. They say it's a cooling method. A two-phase liquid immersion cooling process specifically is what they're saying. Tone, what do you think about what they're up to?
Yeah, no, I've actually talked about this for a long time now. I met a few people at the Latin American Bitcoin conference, and they were running mining operations down in like the jungles of South America because they were able to solve the cooling problem. So ever since that, I'm not surprised that more people are looking into this because if you can solve the cooling problem, you can go to more hostile weather environments like the heat, even like Africa. If you can get cheap electricity through solar or through other means, but you have a cooling solution for your mining operation, you can cut on costs that way. So I knew about this over a year ago, that this is already being done. Obviously, there could be multiple ways of cooling your equipment in hot climates. And the cooling equipment parts can certainly be patented. And if I was making one of these, I would certainly patent this as well if I was actually using it. So it's good. The thing is, though, how are you going to defend this patent, right? Because it's not like someone else is going to, unless someone else comes up with the same cooling system and is actually selling the cooling system instead of using it to mine. Like if these guys in Texas, if they are hydrologist or whoever designed it, just either happen to find the same exact method as the guys down in South America, like how are you gonna be able to prove that they're using your method, right? Because it's not gonna be for commercial use, it's gonna be for personal use. So you patent it in order to potentially sell this technology one day, or if someone else is trying to sell it, then you can have, you can claim patent and collect the royalty. So this is like one of the few cases. I mean, I'm not a big fan of patents. In this case, it kind of makes sense. But as far as doing something like this, I'm not surprised. I've talked about it on this show for like a year that this is happening and going to keep happening.
Thanks, Tone. Jimmy, what are your thoughts? And also, will this be a true competition to Bitmain?
Well, I mean, we know Bitfury's been doing liquid cooling for a long time, and that's a common secondary optimization. I think this just shows how much optimization there is still in mining and things like that. But the big thing that people really need in order to mine well are the chips that will do the actual work. And Bitmain right now has a pretty good lock on it. I mean, there's a lot of competition coming, a lot of miners and things that are trying different ways to manufacture and do different chip design. I think this is a minor improvement, but the big improvements are still in the ASICs.
Thanks, Jimmy. And to continue on Bitmain, so You were telling me earlier that this is a story that people have been talking about, and I would love if you elaborated on it. The title is How Bitmain Indeed Mines Coins in Secret. So what is Bitmain up to?
Well, they apparently mine Bitcoin's a secret. I kind of like what that says. There's some interesting evidence that's presented in this article. I would encourage you to go through it. But you know, the thing that Bitmain has to be kind of careful about is they're going around trying to raise a lot of money right before they IPO on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and this is a way to sort of build up hype and so on. I think Bitmain is a great business. You know, they've got that supply chain down. They know how to make ASICs for almost every coin. They're doing it constantly. They have a possible secondary industry that they can go in with machine learning and so on. But you know, I mean, their competitive practices are, you know, kind of questionable. We know that they developed the Monero miner and probably mined in secret for a while. They apparently did the same with Sia coin. They continue to do it with other coins as well. So, you know, this is what they look to be doing going forward. But, you know, the cryptocurrency game really is, you know, starting to lose juice, especially as a lot of these coins are down 80, 90%. You know, so it's not really worth it for them. They're going to have to find another one, or they need to make Bitcoin worth even more. So, I mean, I think they're decently positioned, but, you know, their competitive practices is really like their ethics and things like that. That's what's put into question here.
Thanks, Jimmy. Tone, secret mining?
Yeah, so I second everything that Jimmy said, obviously, but I will add that they have to be careful for a different reason, because not the fact that they're raising money, but the fact that they are going public and IPO. And I saw an article that during them going public recently, saying that they are, Bitmain is saying that they're only 5% of the Bitcoin mining world. Like, sure, they're like 70% of the chip manufacturing, but as far as the actual mining goes, they're saying they're less than 5% of the mining game. And if someone can prove that they're lying, that could be a problem for their IPO.
Absolutely. Due diligence for IPO. And you're right on the Hang Seng. It's definitely a real exchange. And Tone, just following up with you, I loved the interview last night. Absolutely loved it. This was with Willy Woo. I will be totally honest. Tyler Jenks, my partner, sent it to me. I was taking a nap. I was very tired yesterday. He said, I have to wake up and I have to watch it. And that was at midnight. So thank you for not letting me sleep last night, but it was very, very interesting. And Willy Woo uses my favorite fundamental analysis a bit, but I will let you talk about this. But did you have fun with Willy?
Yeah, it was great. My first interaction with him, actually, we've never really communicated at all other than setting up this interview. He does do good work. He is more of a fundamental analyst, and he has some of the only metrics we know of for fundamental analysis in Bitcoin. It's not that like, the fundamental analysis is possible. You just need the time and the resources. And he clearly put in the time and created resources for us. And if other people have some kind of actual fundamental, he has legitimate fundamental analysis. Like, his fundamental analysis is, you know, quantifiable. When people, the majority of the people in the comment section say, well, Tone, what about Bitcoin's fundamentals? They're just talking about the news and the stuff that they hear. They're not actually talking about legitimate quantifiable fundamentals. And Willy Woo has some legitimate quantifiable fundamentals. If you want to throw legitimate quantifiable fundamentals at me, that's great. Create a website, put together charts, and provide formulas to how you came up with that analysis. But it has to be like legitimate. It can't just be words. You need something. You need something on paper.
So one last quick follow-up. What also was interesting for me was the points that you guys had different opinions on, especially regarding other tokens. Do you want to just comment on that part of the conversation with Willy?
Sure. So here's where I really, really respect Willie, and I wish I said it during the show. Unlike everyone else that goes on YouTube, when you ask them about what altcoins or what like ICOs you're holding, he refused to name any names. And that is different, right? As you know, everyone is dying to pump whatever it is that they're holding. And he wouldn't do that. He specifically did not want to name any token other than Bitcoin. And it's not because he's scared of any backlash, it's because he's not really there to pump and dump it. So it looks like he is holding a couple of other altcoins, and he probably has a couple of ICOs that he actually researched, and he thought that they could do well. Maybe he believes that they will solve some kind of a problem. I will disagree with that. I can probably argue with him about that. I can debate him. He'll probably be the most credible and legitimate person to have a really good debate back and forth on it. Seems like he knows what he's doing. He's been, a nomad and investor in early technologies for like 20 years, since the days of the internet. So it's an opinion I respect. I disagree when he sees blockchains and these projects are closer to companies on the internet where several will succeed, the majority will fail. And he legitimately feels that he has the ability to actually pick out those few winners from the majority of the losers. And I can respect that because he does have the background and the analytical ability to perhaps pick out a few winners. And the fact that he's not out there promoting them, he got my respect for that alone. So I think that's really important.
Absolutely. One of my takeaways just personally was he seemed very genuine, authentic, very, very intelligent, but I liked, he just also felt very authentic in what he was saying, very full of humility. And that was nice and easy to follow. So to your point, I didn't feel like I was being scammed by it either. And Jimmy, weather report. We've missed your weather report.
Yeah, we went through a weekend where you could have gotten in 1 Satoshi per byte transactions very easily. It looks like it's the same Monday bump. A lot of people will, obviously do exchanges in particular will do a lot of the withdrawals in the morning at around 8. So that's a big bump you see there. I'd say like 2 to 3. If you need it in the next hour, 1 Satoshi per byte is probably plenty for today. But if you need it in the next block, 10 to 15.
Thank you, Jimmy. And Tone, it's Monday, so that means that we closed yesterday.
Yep. Jimmy, you want to stick around for this, or if you gotta be with your family, you can do announcements.
Yeah. So let me do the announcements real quick. There's Chicago. I am doing a seminar 21st and 22nd. This is the first time that I am going to offer the online course to the public. So you get the live lecture, and you get all of the same course material. The only difference is that you can do it from your house instead of coming live. Now, there are benefits to doing it live, which are obvious. You get to sit around other people that are doing the same thing. You don't have any distractions and so on. But I did want to start offering the online option as a way for people to get into it without having to travel so much. So, we tested that a little bit in Denver, a lot more in San Francisco, and a bunch of the alumni have given plenty of feedback. So that's something that you might want to consider. I don't have that up yet as part of the application. It will be there pretty soon. There will probably be a substantial discount, at least for the first one that I'm doing to the public. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in, tweet at me and let me know, because you're still gonna have to get up at 8:30 in the morning wherever I happen to be. So if you're on the other side of the world, it might not be the most convenient because it's an 8-hour class, but it's it is an option for you. So let me know.
Thanks, Jimmy. And the picture from the San Francisco carnivory dinner looked like a lot of fun, by the way.
It was 56 people. That was pretty much the capacity of the venue. I gave away some salt to people, both because it tastes great on steak and because it used to be money. Didn't really have much to work with as far as, like what I could give away that would make an appropriate gift. So we also had a winner for the best slogan. So I gave out, everyone was arranged in tables of 8, and they were tasked with coming up with a catchphrase or slogan for the group that was there. And the winning phrase was, "We like our money and our steak the same way, rare." So that was a very good crypto graffiti is going to make some t-shirts, and he was there, so it's going to be a lot of fun going forward. We're probably going to do it in Chicago, Prague, and wherever I happen to be, it's gonna happen.
Love it. I'll be in Prague with you guys, actually, so I finally get to catch one of these.
Huh. All right, so
Yay.
That'll be fun.
All right, Jimmy, have a great time. Thanks for joining.
This song is done.
Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah,
Jimmy.
Yes, Jimmy and I were like talking before the show what night to try and do the carnivory dinner in Chicago. So we'll try to pick a date out and then announce it to you guys.
I do like one of your viewers, Michael, who said proof of stake, STEAK. That is.
Yeah. All right, guys. My workshops. I'm off to Boston this weekend. So because I always book, I have like there's nowhere to stay in Boston, like near my venue. So my venue happens to be like right across the street from Fenway Park, which is where the Boston Red Sox will be hosting the New York Yankees for a 4-game series that weekend. It's going to be insanity. And so there's so I have to find a place to stay. There's like no hotels, no Airbnbs. There's like all sold out. So I gotta, this is what I'm going to be doing the rest of the afternoon, trying to find a place in Boston. But other than that, Vegas, I'll try to add some more seats. Looks like Vegas is doing well. And Chicago, this is where Jimmy and I will try and do that carnivory dinner. After that, Madrid and Amsterdam. And also in Thailand and Bangkok, I'm actually thinking about going up to Chiang Mai. So I'm really curious if you were really interested in Bangkok. I'm really curious. Maybe I should do like a Twitter poll. Like, I'm wondering if I lose people if I do it in Chiang Mai instead of Bangkok, in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Everyone always raves about Chiang Mai. So I'm curious, like, I hope I don't lose too many people. It's just, I don't have a weekend where I'll be in Bangkok. It'll either have to be on a weekday in Bangkok or a weekend in Chiang Mai. So I got another decision I got to make going forward. Other than that, check out the educational section. And of course, the affiliate codes if you guys like my work and want to keep supporting my work. All right, let's get to the price. Monthly chart. The month's about to end, so we'll take a look at that like tomorrow or something. Not the weekly chart I wanted. This is the weekly chart I want to see. So here's the big thing that happened, right? As the new week has started, man, look how close we are on the moving average crossover. Now, the official definition of a def cross is a 50 over 200. But in Bitcoin on a weekly chart, I do like my 30 over 50. Because the 50 over 2, I mean, Bitcoin has barely been around for 200 weeks, you know? So it's not the most ideal moving averages to use. This bounce has been strong. I'll give you guys that. And I think it should be coming to an end. I believe that I don't expect it to go above this. This is 8,500. I'm pretty much looking at resistance here, and most likely it'll start to go down. So I am eyeing that. We are on a green 3 of 9. Can we make it all the way to a green 9? It's possible. If you look at the last bull run, we made it all the way to a 4 on a green candle, and then a green 5 on a candle that already started going down. Hence, this count began one candle later, and probably should have taken that into account. And maybe I would have better identify this situation here for a stronger bounce, as opposed to my expectation of 5,000 for a bounce. My outlook of a $5,000 low is still on the table. I have not walked away from being a bear to 5,000 and probably lower. I will reevaluate if and when we get to that 5,000 level. I believe this depth cross is going to be critical, just like the last depth cross of the 30-week moving average versus the 50-week moving average was critical, and that took place over here in this vicinity, and that took place at the end of August. That took place August 25th. It looks like we will cross next week. We'll cross August 1st, the week of August 1st, or whatever the week of August 6th, to be more exact. So that will be the next week. So we will only be about 20 days ahead of schedule on the depth cross, and things ended really badly for Bitcoin after that. So that's good. And it's really good to hear from a fundamental perspective, like Willy Woo, that we have very similar outcomes over the next 6 months in our price outlook. So there you go, guys. There is a fundamental analyst that also believes that Bitcoin is currently overvalued and is in the middle of its third dead cat bounce. Here's the daily chart. The daily chart hit a peak at the 9 and at the 200-day moving average. We have stagnated a bit. There is weakness today. We still have green numbers on top of the candles. Let's wait for the price flip. And then on a red 2 below a red 1, you can certainly look to for some shorting opportunities as a short-term trader, or maybe exit your bullish positions. Here is the 12-hour chart. The 12-hour chart is in a no trade zone. You do have a price flip. You have a red number, but it's not trading below the prior red number. You just fell below the short-term moving average. You're still in a bull zone here, right? You are still in a bull zone. Your moving averages are rising, and let's see what happens. I personally would not even think about longing Bitcoin unless we break 8,400, and even then you'll still be under the depth cross. So this is a low risk shorting opportunity for potential, $3,000 of downside with maybe $400 of risk to the upside. Because if we go to 8,600, then that's it. Then your short trade is done. But if you start to go down, your target should be in the $5,000 area. The 4-hour chart is barely on a short trade. I would be a little bit careful. I would be more conservative. I would wait till we go under 8,000 in order to potentially take on any short trades on a 4-hour time frame. The 1-hour time frame is not very useful at the moment. It did go short recently. Then you had a price flip. Now you're trending short again. So not much there. The weekly S&P chart, yes, we're having a bad day, starting off a bad week. I'm still fully bullish. As you can see, you are near all-time highs. You are above all the moving averages, and the moving averages are rising, all of them above each other. So there should be no fear in your full allocation to the US stock market. The daily outlook is on a price flip, so be a little careful. So tomorrow, if you get a lower open and lower low, there could be a bigger drop down back to the long-term moving averages. And let's see what happens there. It's really nice how we came so close to hitting the top of this channel, certainly within margin of error. And even if we go back down towards the bottom of the channel in the 2780 range, everything should be fine. Gold is on a 7 of 9, a weekly. So there could be a bounce in gold sometime this month back to the upside. It's going to have its own depth cross of a 30-week over 50-week. and a rebound may take you all the way back to 1260 area to back test those moving averages. The monthly chart is holding on by a thread to this trend line, and if it goes below this trend line, I would expect a pretty bad drop in gold. Amazon is not having a great day. We are going lower until you get below this swing low, and we do have this, hyperwave line. Even though I'm not on a long chart. I think I'm not on a long chart. I'm on a linear chart. Perfect. So you do have room. You do have room here on Amazon to take a little bit of a pullback and stay good. As I advised on a daily chart, you should have been out of Amazon on this daily 9 before the earnings call, because earnings, unless you're an expert trader in earnings. Now, I did send out 3 tweets recently. Where's my Twitter? I did send out 3 tweets recently in the traditional markets in order to educate people about the sequential indicator and system. And if you look at my pictures, there weren't that many. Which one was Amazon? There was Amazon. Oh, maybe I didn't tweet out Amazon, but I think I did. I tweeted out Facebook. That was for sure. So here's Facebook. And what did I write? Short, it's no longer in a bear market. And according to the sequential system, you could have entered your short on Friday afternoon. Not the best time to enter your trades. Random things happen over the weekend, but you did have a red 2 below a red 1 when the stock is no longer in a bull market. And I also sent out, no, I think I'm going backwards here. Yes, that was funny. And I also sent out Twitter educating people on the sequential system, where I wrote, also no longer in a bull market. If price of 3 goes below 2, which is Monday, there are shorting opportunities. So we can go and take a look at Facebook, and you can see what Facebook looks like today. It's having a very bad day. So that was certainly a nice shorting opportunity on a red 2 below a red 1. And we can also look at Twitter, and Twitter opened right there, just above the lows of the 2, which created another nice high reward, low risk short trade on Twitter right as the 3 candle went below a red 2. Both of these trades are actually looking really good. And if you did take on those trades, you may already want to consider a break-even stop loss, because you don't want to risk any of your capital. And that's the secret to trading, at least for me. For me, it was entering a trade that's immediately profitable, and then it sounds easier than it is, right? You wait, and if you have to wait, for a year to enter your perfect trade on Twitter, then you will wait for a year. That's what it is. And your opportunity was right there, and now I don't know, right? That was the opportunity. That's why I sent out the tweets over the weekend. If you go through my Twitter, you'll find what I said about Amazon, but I was talking about Amazon at the top, where I was just saying, get out of it, don't hold it. And in Amazon, there is no trading opportunity right now. You are on 4 consecutive price flips. There is absolutely no trade in Amazon at the moment. It is totally neutral. So that's pretty much it for me. Boston. I have to be in Boston Friday night. It's going to be packed as hell for the Boston Red Sox Yankee game. All of my workshop and the meetup are not that far from the stadium, actually. And so go ahead and check that out. After that, I am speaking at a couple of conferences in Vegas. This is Chain Exchange. A lot of big names: Gary Vee, Molly Bloom, Steve Wozniak. I think Common is singing. After that, I will be, that's the same one. And I will be speaking at Block Show, which is another event in Vegas after the weekend, 20th and 21st in Vegas. And then me and Jimmy will be in Chicago for the Voice of Blockchain event. After that, we have the cruise where all 4 of us are going to be on, including Leah and Hackers Congress. And then there's the Honey Badger in between those. So many events, also events in Amsterdam in between those. Man, I have a packed calendar coming up.
Tone, before you go off, some people are asking you to relook at the hourly of Bitcoin.
What am I looking for? Oh, that's 4 hour. Well, it's back to a price flip, right? So it's choppy. It's choppy. It's in a channel and it's choppy. Unless you go below 8,000 or above 8,300, I wouldn't touch it.
Great. Thanks for relooking at it.
All right.
All right. We'll let people go. We'll let you go. I think we're still on screen share. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for watching. You can listen to this later on the audio podcast. Tone, how you're in Boston. You're not there for much longer, man.
No, I gotta start traveling around the U.S. Throughout August, and then that's it. And then I'm on a 4-month tour. I'll give you guys more updates soon about Australia and Thailand and stuff like that. But I do want to take like a week, so a month in my travels to kind of like enjoy my life for a minute.
And in a month, me, you, Giacomo, and Jimmy are totally going to be streaming from that blockchain cruise in Ibiza, in Monaco. It'll be good fun.
It's going to be great.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, guys.